Good evening, brethren.
Good evening.
Most worshipful Grand Master, Right Worshipful Deputy Grand Master, distinguished East, my brethren all. I stand before you a candidate for Grand Lodge Trustee. I am here because of my many concerns for the future of our fraternity. My qualifications are in the current Freemason magazine. Please look at them. First and foremost, you need to know that I have never ever forgotten that night when I was placed into the altar and I swore not to wrong, cheat, nor defraud a brother Master Mason to the value of anything. I strongly believe in the brotherhood of man under the fatherhood of God. I do not take this position lightly and know that none of you do either. I am very concerned about the future of our craft. There are 4 items at the top of my list, and they are to reestablish the trustee's authority to limit Grand Lodge spending to the published budget. Grand Lodge budget should reflect the reduced size of our craft. Make sure that excess monies dedicated to our charities are paid in full for the year they are collected. And ending the constantly increasing Grand Lodge costs that will trickle down to the subordinate lodges and ultimately to the general membership, which may result in additional suspensions for non-payment of dues. We all recognize the Grand Master's constitutional and rightful authority is supreme in matters pertaining to membership, ritual, Masonic relations, etc. No one wants to change or diminish the Grand Master's constitutionally granted rights, but the Grand Lodge trustees must be permitted to do their job without interference. We all have to live within our means, and so must Grand Lodge. Our Constitution gives our Grand Lodge trustees, and I quote, the responsibility to manage the business affairs of the Grand Lodge, and when necessary, with the concurrence of the Grand Master, employ the management personnel required for the efficient execution of all matters pertaining thereto. The key words are, employ the management personnel required. It does not give the Grand Master the authority to overrule or to demand obedience to his will by the trustees. However, over the past few years, this has been interpreted to mean that the Grand Master has the final say in whatever the Grand Lodge trustees do. It effectually turns the trustees into the Grand Master's personal rubber stamp. My brothers, we are down to about 18,000 members. Our Grand Lodge must live with an 18,000 member budget. We are at a critical junction. Remember, our constitutional charges, our Grand Lodge trustees, and I quote, with the efficient execution of all matters pertaining to the finances and property of the Grand Lodge. As your Grand Lodge trustee, I will strive to make sure that this mandate will not go unheeded. I believe that the long-term needs of the craft must be paramount. Every time we raise or add an assessment, we are not only putting additional burdens on each brother, but also on the lodges who opt to pay the Grand Lodge assessments for their members who are 75 years old and with 40 years service. While the dollar amount may be small, the psychological impact is huge. We all know that many of our Grand Lodges are struggling to keep their doors open. Many are facing the real possibility that they may soon cease to exist. They must know that their Grand Lodge is not going to add to their burdens. Regardless of the new legislation, the only way we can now be sure that our charities get the money is to verify full payment by looking at public IRS records. Trust but verify. As to the permanent fund legislation, how can we grant additional flexibility when we, the voting members of Grand Lodge, have no idea what is in it and what it is being spent on? With flexibility must come responsibility and clarity. You can't have one without the other. The only reason to sponsor this type of legislation is to take more money than is currently being earned from the permanent fund. Does this mean invading the principal, which may reduce future years' income? Is that really what we want to do? In closing, remember that what this election is really about, responsible leadership and character. These are very hard times, and it is not yet over. Only you have the power to make sure that we travel on towards the positive future. You must make the hard decisions. Your vote will decide who is best suited to make the hard decisions that will determine our future. My brothers, I am Brian Blades, and I hope I have your trust. I hope I have earned your vote. Thank you all very much.